All right, thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for sticking around for the final panel of the day. I had the honor of opening the Lion stage on Tuesday morning, the Upstream track, and now I have the honor of closing it here on Thursday afternoon. So again, thank you for sticking around. I think what is one of the most exciting topics of the week, and that is technology and innovation, right? And in this case, we're talking about rethinking asset development to accelerate upstream success. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves, right? The upstream industry is being asked to deliver an awful lot these days. The industry is being asked to deliver reserve and production growth, lower cost, higher returns, size and scale, less emissions, and yes, it's all being done faster and faster pace. So the pressure to deliver smarter, cleaner, more cost-effective solutions is higher than ever. And we can't achieve these goals, we can't achieve these targets without effectively leveraging the technology available to us today. But it isn't just about the technology, it's about rethinking strategy, and we'll touch on some of the components of that strategy here today. I'm joined today by a powerhouse panel. They bring very different perspectives to this discussion, so I'm looking forward to the engagement, and we've already made introductions, so gentlemen, I think let's get started. Rethinking asset development to accelerate upstream success, and the answer can't just be more money, okay? All right, so Sam, I want to start with you. As the sole operator on the panel, where have you seen the biggest impact of technology, and particularly AI?
Okay, thank you very much, Dan, and good afternoon to everyone. I will say, two main thrusts, and I will also mention the other things that those two main thrusts has kind of facilitated. So the first big one is the data repository. The capacity of, the availability and capacity of data today is just mind-blowing. I'll give you an example. These days you have, 1 terabyte on your phone. My son that just resumed school, I gave him a gift of a key holder with a 2 terabytes that he could carry around. 10, 15 years ago, that's a luxury. So data repository is enormous. Enabler in the industry. The second thing is the computing capacity that we have today is also mind-blowing. And these two main, technology or product of technology has kind of facilitated what we call data analytics, because if analytics will not work in a vacuum. So if you have a data and you have ability to put it in a single place, analytics works fantastic, which is a kind of AI. Also, the experimental design, which is popular with reservoir engineers. I remember when I joined the industry in the early days, most of the software for experimental design are grossly approximated. Not only that, today, you can start your experimental design during your morning coffee time. By the time you come back at lunchtime, the product is ready. That was not possible like 10, 15 years ago. That takes weeks to do. Cloud computing, we know, that's a cliche. Everybody is doing cloud computing, storing things on your emails on the cloud. That's enormous. Then you enter into the realm of, many other softwares, and like integrated field management system. I know Ghislain will talk about that. I mean, it kind of concatenate all your wells, all your fields on just one platform, and AI manages everything for you, in a leading way, not in a lagging way. And to close this, an example in Lekoil, we modeled basin, Togo-Keta Basin from south of Mauritania down to Orange Basin close in South Africa in one go. In one go. The data was available, analytics was available, and the human interpretation was made easy.
Well, that's fantastic insight. I think we at S&P would agree that data is critical. So, Ghislain, I want to go to you next. We've been hearing a lot this week about the frontier opportunity that we see here in Africa. SLB is a global company. What do you see more broadly in terms of technology that's driving kind of faster field development? And is there anything specifically you see impacting Africa itself?
Okay. Thank you so much, Dan, and thank you to the audience for being here. I just want to say I'm happy to be in this conversation today to really share some ideas and some practical solutions on how we can rethink, reimagine asset development and really accelerate it. I think if I step out more broadly, and I just think about this, what we really want to do is we want to achieve successful outcomes. We want to deliver safely, we want to deliver faster, and then we also want to do it at a low cost and minimal environmental impact. Yeah, I believe it takes innovation, technology innovation, but it takes people as well. It takes models and a whole lot of solutions to enable us to do this. We know oil and gas is complex, it is risky, and also very rewarding. And for us to achieve these successful outcomes, I think the approach has to be very, very intentional. So what I see the thread that I see in some successful projects is, number one, planning, right? So how do we plan ahead of time to make sure that we know where we are going, right? And today, we have the applications to plan. We have planning orchestrators that can bring your whole field and allow you to plan earlier, to achieve outcomes, that would take you 6 months to plan, but today you can do them in weeks. The second thing that I see is integration. How do you bring different components of the value system where it makes sense? Maybe I'm developing a field, I'm in charge of the drilling, but then also would tying in the subsea also help to make the project, to allow us to realize the project quicker? Maybe connecting that to an FPSO, with SVM, so how do we bring all of this to allow us to achieve these outcomes? And then the third one is modular. There are cases where we need modular solutions. So when we plan, we are integrated, we still need to go in and say, there are things that we need to leave alone because it will allow us to accelerate things quicker. And then digital everywhere. We need to make sure digital is there, AI is there. This used to be, we used to think about this, but now this must be an active part of all our strategies. And then lastly, if we want to continue to push the envelope, technology will allow us to push that envelope. Digital will allow us to push the envelope. But we also need to see, are there performance models that we can use as incentives, to tap into that human side to say, if you can deliver more, why don't we give you a bonus to continue to expand that envelope? So if I go down, in terms of development, one example that I can see is, we have projects today where we are looking at drilling campaign, but also subsea and surface, building pipelines and integrated projects. And then when we do the drilling on the drilling side, we see AI playing a critical role in that. Today, we are also able to integrate not only the big scope, but also in digital technology. We have a drill solution, a drill planning solution, a drill pilot, and a neuro technology where you can bring all of that together and create a GPS-like system that, as you drill real time, it tells you what is the fastest path to go, what is the safest path to go, real time. And when you do that, we can have very successful outcomes. We have one operator in Africa. They were able to drill one of their fastest wells, more than 1,200 meters per day using this kind of technology. Excellent. So that's just a concrete example of how we can leverage technology to help us achieve these outcomes we're talking about.
Very good, very good. That's you touched on something there around kind of FPSOs, and so Ousmane, I want to come to you. We're talking about technology, innovation, faster field development. Can you talk about the significance of FPSOs in achieving kind of faster development?
Thank you, Dan, and good day, everyone. And I'm very pleased to be here. Just to echo, at the beginning of the conference, we talk about drill, baby, drill. So once we drill and we find we want to produce fast. I want to develop a little bit about the strategy before talking about the technology, because we've developed a certain number of strategies that help us to break a number of records in terms of from discovery to first oil, thanks to working very closely with our operator. And the FPSO itself, as an asset, is a suitable asset for when we talk about offshore field development and especially deep water. And the fact that you can build the module separately, you can build the different items separately and build it together, bring it to the field and produce, it helps to de-risk a certain number of things. In terms of technology, I just want to rebound a little bit what Ghislain was mentioning. We don't only build FPSOs, we operate it. A certain number of items that he raised, like digitalization, help us to, when we build a digital twin of the FPSO, we can better manage, even by distance from far, see what's happened on the FPSO and manage it better. AI, I think Samuel raised it, it's an extremely great tool for us to anticipate a certain number of things and using the data that we have from the past and do better in terms of improvement. So overall, I think FPSO are the tool and the model we have in place with the fast forward, where we order the hull in advance, help us to go faster. But in addition to technology, we can expand it. We could expand it a little bit more. It helps us, to be more efficient and more safe and more reliable, generally speaking.
Excellent, excellent. All right, so Terrence, I want to come to you, and I was intrigued by your title, right? So solutions architecture at AWS, so ASW, sorry. So tell us more about your role. What does solutions architecture mean, and where do you see kind of innovation pushing the industry forward?
So it is quite a dynamic role, and while most of it does deal with architecting solutions, particularly cloud-based solutions. So my team, effectively, we're technology advisors to customers, and in most cases, free of charge, just advice on how to use technology to further your business outcome. And we kind of bridge the gap between like business vision, business direction, with technology strategy, technology solutions to make that a reality or to overcome a business challenge. And we've been working with energy companies, oil and gas companies, to modernize operations all the way from exploration to production to like downstream distribution. And if I look at over the last 2 years, really the kind of challenge has been, how do we get faster time to value? How do we make better decisions, make those decisions faster? And those are underpinned by massive data sets. So whether that's operations data, IoT data, things like processing like petabytes of seismic data to get to an outcome faster in the exploration phase. We've been helping our customers get that down from processing petabytes of seismic data from like hours down to minutes, so that we can experiment, make decisions faster, get to outcomes faster, so that we can get to value faster. In addition, there has been a large focus on accelerating digital transformation, less manual process, less double capture, more focus on integration and automation and getting efficiencies. So you're very right when you said at the start, it's not about more money, it's about how do we use the same amount of money or even less money more efficiently to get to a better outcome. And in some cases, it's even making less viable fields more viable now, because we're reducing our total cost to explore, our total cost to actually get to value. If we're looking at some of the exciting stuff that some of our customers have been working with in the AI space, I mentioned already the seismic data analysis and exploration. It's even things like using computer vision for geological pattern recognition, or you're speaking about drilling, so real-time analysis of drilling parameters, reducing non-productive time in some cases by like 20 to 30%. It makes a huge difference, even in things like anomaly detection and preventing equipment failures. And then even down to production optimization, so forecasting better, understanding things like well performance, and we'll be getting to things like digital twins and doing simulations with real-time data fed from the field to understand what's going on, and if we if we tweak a bit, what's the impact on our business? So, our customers in the oil and gas space, they know their industry very well. And it's now using all of the data and all of the tech to help them ask smarter questions more easily and get answers in real time so decisions can be made.
Excellent. Okay, good. And so Sam, I want to come back to you. It can't all be good, right? So there's have to be some challenges. I think when you and I spoke, you said that AI was scary in some ways. So maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
When you compare what has happened in the last 15 to 20 years and see what is happening today, and you could project, just slightly project, what is possible, is mind-blowing. Like I said earlier on, I'll give you an example. To model, from West Africa, Mauritania, to South Africa, that's pretty long. And like was mentioned, that's a lot of data. Easily, you set a pattern, like you said, and in just a day, it comes out with solutions. And that's like the work that should be done in about 6 months to a year. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So it's scary, the opportunity that it's scary. Now, let me tell you what that we do. What we did in Lekoil is we did not wait for the traditional license round, because what that did for us was it spotlighted some areas, hotspots for us. And we had we knew those blocks, and we went straight to negotiate with those blocks. And we were able to make a discovery of over 1 billion barrels based on that regional study, based on data, based on analytics. For me, 1 billion barrel discovery, you did that in about three months. It's major.
Excellent. So I want to change topics a little bit. We've heard a lot this week about the focus in Africa on energy security, energy access, but energy sustainability is still a priority as well. So balancing kind of that execution that you guys are talking about with the sustainability. So Ousmane, I want to come to you first. So the industry is now, as I said, trying to balance these two forces. I know SBM has been focused on kind of new solutions in the blue economy. Can you talk a little bit about what is the blue economy and what technologies are you kind of planning in that space?
Yeah. So we have what we call our true blue transition. Let's make it clear. We want to continue producing oil and gas, but we want to do it in a sustainable way and in a responsible way, and with limiting our emission. Today, as all company has objective in scope 1, scope 2, some scope 3 emission, but we're developing a number of solutions which can help us in this journey to go for at some point near zero emission or zero emission. We've recently announced on the news our new ammonia FPSO, which we received the approval in principle from ABS. Ammonia is for us, it's a great solution to valorize gas, but also for the transport of hydrogen. We leverage in our expertise, our ocean infrastructure expertise, our offshore expertise to use the gas that you can have offshore and produce ammonia. And ammonia can be used for fuel, it can be used for transportation of hydrogen, and clearly much lower emission than other solutions. But so again, our main business, the thing that we were doing until now, FPSO with oil and gas, we do it with additional feature like carbon capture, part of the FPSO. But in addition to that, we add a certain number of products which are, adding much lower emission to diversify our portfolio of products, and it help us and the client to this journey.
And Terrence, how's AWS kind of supporting the industry in the area of sustainability?
Yeah, so from a sustainability perspective, there are two areas. So like in the core tech space, we're making sure that cloud compute is 3.4 times more efficient than running in like a traditional data center. We're using renewable energy, We reduce the water consumption, our own like direct footprint of energy usage. We're talking about AI, ML, generative AI. Those things take a lot of power, a lot of cooling. So we're making those as energy efficient as possible. And one of the things that we're helping our customers do is actually do the tracking and the auditing of how much carbon they're actually using, how much energy they're using, both in the IT landscape as well as in overall in the business. In some spaces where our customers are incorporating things like renewable energy, it's even things like managing the energy mix, managing like the battery optimization, if you're storing energy, when to charge, when to discharge, the speed of which you have to run equipment, running sometimes at 90% is better for the overall health of the equipment and that kind of stuff. So it's all the way from emissions reduction to carbon tracking and reporting, renewable energy integration, and then just like responsible production. We're helping in that space. In addition to the infrastructure efficiency and connectivity.
Okay. And Ghislain, let me come to you next. Which low carbon technologies are you guys prioritizing at SLB?
Thank you so much, Dan. And one of the reasons why I really enjoy this panel, I think Terence mentioned something that in Amazon they are solutions architect, and I think that's the way that I look at us as oil and gas. How do we find solutions? And I think at SLB, one of the things that we focus about is how do we ensure that there is that energy security, but also in a low carbon environment, lower carbon, right? And I think that when you have two constraints like that, then it really makes us creative to find solutions. The way we look at it first is, number one, how do we decarbonize our operations? How do we decarbonize our customers' oil and gas operations? And then how do we go into those industries where maybe we can use some of our technologies to help them decarbonize, like cement? And then how do we support, even go beyond that, to other industries, new energy industries like maybe lithium mining, where we still can use our technologies. So if we come back to how do we ensure that there's that energy security we can produce, which for us, I know in Africa, the energy security is very important because it improves lives as well. There are different technologies that we use. In SLB, we have a suite of technologies called transition technologies. These technologies allow you to produce oil and gas quicker, faster, but also low carbon footprint. An example would be, if you have an appraiser, you've discovered your field, you want to appraise it, we have a technology which is called Aura Deep Transient Technology, where you run it on wireline. It can evaluate your reservoir from the wellbore about 200 meters into your reservoir. Normally, you do an extended well test, DST, where there will be flaring, it will take much longer. But with Aura, you just run it, and it tells you the deliverability of your reservoir. So we've applied that in a customer in Africa, and they were able to find out that their reservoir could produce 10,000 barrels, and the emissions, because they were not flaring during this operation, the emissions decreased by about 96%. So that's really a solutions sort of where you can focus to say, let me see how I can accelerate my hydrocarbon, accelerate my first oil, but also do it at a very low carbon sort of way, right? Produce less emissions.
Excellent, excellent. And Sam, so how are you at Lekoil looking at that kind of balance between execution and sustainability?
Yeah. In Lekoil is very key, because at this conference, we talked about millions of Africans not having access to energy. And one of our producing assets is in a very remote location, very remote, about 90 kilometers from the city. And, we had to construct, bridges and things that are not, traditional upstream stuff. Now, the community there, before we got there, there was no light. So, and we were running a lot of generators and all that. So we provided light as part of our ESG. And interestingly, many people that stayed in the city relocated to that remote location because in the city you have blackout, but in the Lekoil, producing asset, you have 24/7, power supply, So that's one way of sustainability. we deliberately said no diesel power. So we use our gas, to power the gas. We got gas generator. Believe me honestly, you see people in that remote location watching the Premiership during the weekend, having bush bar all around. So that's part of the low-hanging fruit of sustainability that we do in Lekoil. And we also make sure that part of the youth in the community are part of our workforce locally, despite that. And so you see, we reversed the migration to the city. The city people are now more interested in coming to the remote area.
Very cool. All right. So I want to pivot again and pick up on another theme that we've been hearing at this conference a lot, and that's kind of the evolution of partnerships, right? Things are moving very quickly. The competitive landscape is changing, and we're seeing new partnerships, new types of partners. So Terrence, I want to come to you here first. And one of the areas that we're seeing new partnership, certainly growing partnerships, is this industry partnering with technology companies. So tell us how AWS is partnering with oil and gas companies in Africa. What do you see? What's changed, and what does the future look like?
Yeah, I think if we're looking at what's changed, I think it's an industry that's undergoing a lot of change at the moment. If I look at, so I've been with Amazon Web Services for just over 5 years now, and I've seen us go from being an infrastructure provider effectively and providing compute and storage for mainly just business solutions, the SAP ERP core and HR solutions, to now really partnering with our customers to create industry-specific, like fit-for-purpose AI models, solutions that sometimes they are looking to on-sell to other companies in the industry. We work extensively with our partner network, both like consulting partners like Deloitte and Accenture, as well as technology partners, to produce specific solutions that we now resell on our AWS marketplace. So you can get access to solutions that are almost like one-click deploy, or deploy a little bit of infrastructure, but they're basically ready to go. So you can get up and running with solutions in the matter of minutes and then start configuring, instead of waiting weeks for hardware deployments and then struggling with connectivity and integration challenges. I think we're seeing, like, gone are the days where you're going to have a 2.5-year implementation project for something and then start using it much later on. It's much shorter, sharper cycles. So we need to have fit-for-purpose solutions, not just the building blocks. And one of the things we've done globally as AWS, we formed up, we do it for many industries, but we formed up a energy and utilities working group that's a global group. We have over 400 professionals assigned specifically to that group for their industry knowledge. And I think the average tenure, the last time I checked, was around 17 years. And for that, we use that group specifically to help us build out specific solutions. So if we think about things like, and I mentioned before, seismic data processing frameworks or drilling optimization templates, production analytics dashboards, that kind of stuff, instead of going with just the solution that says, here's a set of like data lakes, data, you go build everything from scratch. The pre-built solutions that we have available, either through ourselves or partner network, are now becoming quite extensive. And I think one of the key things that we've seen is that we need to marry digital skills and skills around data with industry knowledge, industry skills. So we're taking, for example, going from somebody working in the production space, equipping them with data science skills so that they can now make better decisions, better use of data, be self-sufficient. They don't need to throw it over to IT or a data working group and wait a few days for an answer to come back and then ask questions. So education is extremely important, and we work not only with our consulting and education partners, but we've started a few years ago, but now more than ever, there's a lot of free training on digital skills, cloud skills, data skills that you can get from us and even from the other cloud providers, Azure, GCP. there's a lot of stuff you can get for.
Yeah, hold that thought, because we're going to come back to the people part here in a second. I think, Ghislain, same question to you and SLB in terms of partnerships, right? You're a key partner for the industry. Again, to you, what's changed? What does the future look like?
Thank you. I think we all acknowledge, we can all agree that oil and gas is complex, right? And we can all agree that we cannot do everything on our own, right? So we need to really put the strategy in place to focus on what we can do best, and then look to other partners, right? So I think it's really very important to see that on this panel, all of us have one form of partnership or another, right? So with Ousmane, we are partnering on digital twins. With Terence, we have partnership on deploying our Delphi platform on AWS. With Sam, we have partnerships on deploying our tech. So we have to do it together. But I think going forward, right, now we see this is a reality, it's part of our strategy, but I think we need to think beyond that total, we need to look at the total solution, right? What new partnerships do we need to really accelerate this, right? So I think we have to think about partnerships maybe with financial institutions, because that's part of the solution as well. The solution is not only resource, technology, you need finances to unlock, right? So community partnerships. So I think it's really to be open, and really be flexible as well, and then just to realize, who do I need to partner with to achieve those outcomes? Deliver, do it safely, low cost, and also, minimal carbon impact.
And you mentioned it there, because Ousmane, when we talked, you talked about kind of partnering with the community, right? So maybe you can talk a little bit about, SBM's kind of commitment to local communities and that partnership.
Yeah. No, so I'm personally very sensitive to this topic, because for me, and I really like the example that Samuel gave about creating impact in the local community. We have some industrial partnership. We have some, partnership with the bank. For example, when we talk about carbon capture, we have some partnership. But for us, we are a company that not only build FPSO, but we operate it. So we are in the country for 20 years. And therefore, being citizen of the country, we want to create impact. And there, if you take the three pillars, we identify generally people development, industrial development, corporate social responsibility. For each of them, I can give several examples. Which, if I take people development in Guyana, we are training the next generation of technicians. In Namibia, we have partnership with Petrofan to train capacity. For industrial development, if you go to Brazil, we use many local suppliers for pump, for heat exchanger, for all the many equipment on the top side, and corporate responsibility with schools, with many initiatives. So for me, yeah, you are the responsible company. You have the industrial partnership. As Ghislain mentioned, any company cannot do everything alone. But in the country where you operate, you need to identify where you need to create partnership to create the best long-term impact. Okay. And that's generally in SBM, when we do an entry plan for every country, the type of thing that we always look for.
Excellent. So I think for our last topic here, I want to pivot and talk about what is also a critical part of this, and you guys touched on it, and this is the people part, right? And how do we push this technology, advance the technology forward, and bring our people in these organizations along that journey as well? So that's upskilling the existing workforce, recruiting new talent, new skills into the organization. So Sam, when you look at the people part of that, what are the skill sets that you're looking for in the future?
Okay. Without any doubt, there will be new skills required, but I'm going to look at it from the recruiting you mentioned. If you look at our industry, we have a problem. Bulk of the people are about to leave, or they are too old, including myself. And we find it difficult to attract young talent. So to hit straight to the point, in Lekoil, the average age is between that 28, 30. Yeah? And you have the C-level people that are pretty old, including some looking at me. So what we intentionally have to look at not the skills, but what is the attraction for the young people. to come to your place. They don't want to be tied down to the company. They want their own work-life balance is different from this old generation. They want to work in an asset in Nigeria but stay in Houston. So we have to create an Houston office such that they can work there. They want computing power, borderless, kind of opportunities. So those are the kind of things you have to find a balance in order to attract the young people. It's inevitable anyway because you need them. So you need to find that kind of attraction. In terms of building, training is available, like was said, but you need them to be interested. If not, no matter what, data repository, computing power, you still need the human beings to interpret. There are some parts of our industry, you need to create that fund for the young people to come in. So you need to find that balance.
You must have been talking to my son. He just graduated from university, so a lot of what you're saying, I think, resonates there. Ghislain, coming back to you and SLB, how are you guys looking at investing in people in terms of kind of upskilling new skill sets?
Okay. I think for us, people is foundational, right? We need that deep domain expertise, local knowledge that really comes from people, and that's how we're going to unlock all these opportunities that we have in the region. So we do a lot of things on our side, right? So I think the first one is first on our own people. We give, one of the best training in the industry, right? And I've been privileged to have that training in the first 3 years. We focus, we train. And now with the new digital technologies, we have a program which is called Petrotechnical Experts 2.0. This is an internal project. This is an internal program where we take people who have petroleum engineering, geoscience background, and we give them all the domain data science competencies, AI, so that they can take the experience in oil and gas, marry that with AI, and come up with practical solutions. So today we've trained over 1,000 of our own employees. We've sort of trained them, and now they're able to deliver these solutions. Second one as well is, externally, we have collaborations with some companies, primarily NOC companies in Nigeria, for instance, NSERF, which is the oil field services arm of NNPC. We have a partnership where we process seismic together. As part of this, there's a capacity development exchange where we take their engineers, we train them, we share technology, and together, we can deliver successful outcomes for customers. And then we also extend that to university students as well, because we want to make sure we have that connection. Primarily, for a long time, as far as I can remember, SLB, we've always donated software to universities. In Africa, we've donated millions of dollars of software to universities. So if you go to all the universities today in Africa, they are using Petrel, they are using Eclipse, they are using... So we believe that that exposure is very, very important. And then lastly, even to the elementary level, we have partnerships where we go open a STEM cafe. We have one that we just opened last year in Port Harcourt, where we expose elementary school students to technology, to what's coming up next. So we really, we have taken sort of a generational, how we can go from us now making that shift, but then also looking at a new generation, how we can connect with them, inspire them, and prepare them for the future.
Early exposure. And so Terrence, you touched on this a little bit in your comments earlier, but so is AWS looking to recruit more people into your company with the technical skills, with industry skill sets?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think we're always on the hunt for good people. And for me, that means people who have a passion for learning, a passion for technology, for knowledge, and they meet our cultural criteria, AWS culture, Amazon culture. We've got our 14 leadership principles. We hire in line with that. But for us, industry knowledge is super important. It matters because we can't solve the right problems if we don't know the right questions to ask or the right context. We need to be speaking the right language to our customers, to our customers' customers, to the partners in the ecosystem. and to have that credibility. So you need the industry knowledge. You then also need the tech knowledge. And for us, the tech knowledge to teach people is quite easy because we've got all the mechanisms internally. The industry knowledge is a little bit harder, so we may partner with some of our consulting partners, etc. But we've seen that you have to have both of them. And it's not only for the people that we hire, it's also it's an industry-wide challenge. You have to have all of that skill. And to be able to make that impact and to drive your business forward at a competitive, gain competitive advantage over the rest of your industry, you've got to be solving problems faster and solving bigger, more meaningful problems. And if you want to attract talent, you've got to be solving really critical problems and not giving people mundane work, manual tasks. So because that's one of the reasons why we've been focusing on things like digitization, automation, AI, to get rid of the mundane kind of work and repetitive tasks, but then also to use, make sure people have the right skills from a data and tech perspective so they can create solutions. They can also then have much more informed decision-making and tackle even larger challenges. I'll give you an example. I've been working, and this is a more tech example for me personally. I've been working on what is the AWS expansion strategy through Africa. Where do we need to put down infrastructure? Where does enhanced connectivity need to go? All of that is underpinned by LLMs and generative AI to help me do my core research. If I was doing that manually, it would take me months to do that. I've cut that time down to weeks and even days to get back to our leadership to go, this is where investment is required. These are the type of customers in Nigeria. This is what they need. This is Kenya. This is what we're looking at here. And making those decisions much faster gives me actually a sense that I'm accomplishing more. And that's to your earlier point around giving people meaningful careers. We show them what they need to solve, give them the tools to solve that, and help them get the knowledge that they need to. And that's how we change this.
Excellent, excellent. And then Ousmane, coming to you, is the people and skill development just kind of one of the challenges that we see out there? What are some of the other challenges to think about?
For me, Africa is a great continent. It comes with certain number of challenges. We can see infrastructure. We were talking about this before. Sometimes even traveling is not easy. But on the business side, stabilization sometimes of law, regulation sometimes it's not really there. So there is a number of practical challenges and skills for some specific disciplines, available skills resources. In the same time, that comes with the opportunity in front of that. But for me, in front of this challenge, the most important, and that's help to make things happen, is the collaboration, the early engagement, and the open discussion between the company like us, SBM, the client, the government, the supply chain, all this to put together to find solution. Because there are solutions, but you need to build it together. Sometimes it doesn't exist by default. And that's this collaboration is extremely key to face it.
All right, so we have 2 minutes left. So I'm going to challenge you guys here in very brief words, 1 or 2, 3 words. What do you see as the biggest opportunity for yourselves, for your company? So I'm just going to go down the line. Sam, what's the biggest opportunity that you see for Lekoil?
I would say all is set. We just need to showcase it. Deliver.
Okay. All right. Terrence, what's the biggest opportunity for AWS in Africa?
So I think it's still around data and digitization, but there are a few things that we're investing in that we see as really important. One of them is connectivity, so giving everyone access to the cloud so they can get access to those resources. And we've got Project Kuiper, which is our low Earth orbit satellite connectivity coming on board. We're testing at the moment, launching satellites every other month. That's a huge opportunity. And I think just in terms of helping our customers in the industry, I think getting access to stranded resources, being able to, like I said, making marginal fields more economically viable. I think those are important. But for our customers specifically, I think, you know, if we think about like how in Africa we've gone through like mobile money, we've leapfrogged on the financial services side. I see our energy companies doing the same because they don't necessarily have the legacy tech to work with that you know, incumbent other providers have. So we have the opportunity to leapfrog our international peers by just being more digital, cloud native, AI driven.
Okay,
That's
good.
Yeah.
Ousmane.
Yeah, for me, maybe just to a growing human skill capital, which is existing in Africa, and existing, you know, resources, untapped resources, oil and gas, with a growing energy need, which means that, you know, potential of huge project.
All right. And Ghislain, for SLB, biggest opportunity
You know,
in Africa.
I think in Africa there's abundance of resources, abundance of opportunity, and I think what we are focused on a daily basis is how we can work with our customers to help them bring these resources to market as soon as possible, to bring it now. And as we've said here, digital will play a role, you know, to accelerate this, you know, all the other technologies, partnerships, you know. So I think for me, that's what I'm really, really excited about.
Excellent. And I'll just wrap up. And Terrence, I'm going to steal a line that you said earlier when we talk about technology and innovation. It's making better decisions, but it's making better decisions faster. And when you can combine those two things, I think it's pretty impactful on your business. So please join me in thanking our panel for a really good discussion.
Thank you.